This week, the violence did not stay where it started, from Plateau State to Kwara in Nigeria, from Sudan to Tehran, from Ukraine to global oil routes, and the confusion in the oil sector. What began as local incidents quickly revealed deeper confusion in the global security outlook. Nigeria's security crisis is widening. Africa's fragile states are under renewed strain, and globally, war is now reshaping energy, diplomacy, and economic stability. Tonight, we track the events and the pattern behind them. My name is Rumande Shawulu. This is Security Update for the Other Side. This week can be understood through three layers. First, Nigeria's security map is expanding geographically and tactically. Second, across Africa, instability is deepening in ways that go beyond battlefield violence. And thirdly, globally, war is no longer confined to front lines. It is now affecting shipping, energy, and cyber systems. The connecting thread is convergence. We begin in Plateau State. An ambush near left 20 security personnel dead, including senior officers. This was not a random attack. The scale and coordination suggest planning, local intelligence, and armed capacity. Again, Plateau State matters because it has been the scene of so much violence, and reports that several communities in the state have been taken over by outlaws, bandits, and violent non-state actors who, according to the state government, now control at least 63 settlements and villages. This shows that Nigeria's security is no longer geographically contained to the northeast and the northwest. In Kwara State, bandits or terrorists who abducted 8 members of the Evangelical Church of West Africa, ECWA, Omogu, in a fellow local government area have reportedly demanded a ransom of 1 billion naira for their release. On Sunday, March 22, the terrorists attacked the worship service and abducted 8 members. In an interview with News Central on Tuesday, the pastor in charge of the church, Toba Omole, whose wife was among the victims, said the bandits demanded 1 billion naira ransom before they would release their victims. Omole said the bandits made the demand after allowing the community to speak with abducted victims on Tuesday morning. Omole, whose wife is among the victims, said the bandits communicated with them and demanded the 1 billion naira. He appealed to the government and Nigerians for assistance and said that the ransom demanded by the bandits and outlaws is too big for the community to provide.
Sincerely, I am pleading with the government that these situations is beyond our power, because 8 members were in their custody right away, and the church cannot bear the consequence, and even the whole community, put all Oroago together, cannot bear the consequence of this kidnapping. So there's a need for the government to come to our rescue, sending down the force men to come and assist, and also to assist in the negotiation, because we don't know what to do with this situation.
And in Kaduna State, bandits or terrorists also struck Sabongero, killing 1 and abducting 7 people. In a similar incident, the chairman of the board of trustees of ECWA, Reverend Sunday Agang, was also abducted from his residence. Agang was said to have been abducted on Tuesday, March 24, when 6 gunmen invaded his residence at Faringada at about 2:30 in the afternoon. A spokesperson of the church confirmed the incident in a statement in Jos. The spokesman said the church is worried over what it described as a rising spate of attacks on its clergy and members, particularly in Plateau and Kwara states. The church called on the public to remain calm and prayerful. Police authorities said a rescue operation had been launched, with efforts underway to track the kidnappers and secure the release of the professor. Then came something more concerning: an explosion near Woro, suspected to be an improvised explosive device. If confirmed, this signals a tactical shift in that part of Nigeria, and that will move into routine denial of movements of people and also the disruption of economic activities in the area in ways that have not been seen before. And in Kebbi State, militants ambushed responding security forces, killing 11 personnel and a civilian. Locals suspect Lakurawa, the group that is linked to the Islamic State networks in the Sahel. A police officer and 9 soldiers were killed in the deadly attack. The attack occurred on Wednesday when security operatives were heading to a construction company where bandits were said to be operating. However, the security operatives were ambushed by the criminals along the way. Besides those killed, several other personnel were injured. The 2 military trucks conveying them were also reportedly set ablaze. Kebbi State Governor Nasir Idris visited the wounded personnel at the Federal Teaching Hospital building in Kebbi. Speaking to journalists after the visit, the governor described the incident as unfortunate. He assured that the state government will cover the medical bills of the injured and provide support for the families of the deceased. Of course, this is critical. It shows how instability from Niger and Sahel is feeding directly into northwestern Nigeria.
Our reaction is what has happened has happened. It is a very unfortunate situation. You can see security that are supposed, not even supposed, security that are taking care of our people, guarding people so that the people of Kebbi State will sleep with their 2 eyes closed. Everybody knows that government of Kebbi State doesn't play with security issues. We are in Alwase yesterday, and we have this incident yesterday. We are here, we have seen things by ourselves. And we have to direct the CMD of Federal Medical Center to ensure that those that are receiving treatment, they should make sure that they do the needful, and at the same time, those that lost their life, government of Kebbi State will do everything possible to assist the family. It's a great loss. It is a very sad situation, but we have to accept what has happened in good faith. Whether some of them are Christians, some of them are Muslim, we have to accept it. It has happened, it has happened.
And on March 24, the United States deployed MQ-9 drones to Nigeria. Of course, this reflects a growing concern of the government of the United States over the security situation in the country, and also signifies that the support that the United States government has pledged is still coming to Nigeria. It is a signal that Nigeria's crisis is now part of a wider regional calculation. And in any case, as most people would know, the security situation in the Sahel and northeastern part of Nigeria, including the northwest and north central, I said now to be part of the whole strategy of ISWAP, which seeks to create an Islamic caliphate in parts of Nigeria. And now to Africa, whose fragility is under much pressure. In Sudan, a drone struck a hospital, killed 70 people, patients, medics, and civilians. The facility was destroyed. When hospitals are targeted, the damage extends far beyond the immediate blast. It erodes the entire humanitarian system. It also shows how determined the forces fighting are, to the extent that they could target hospitals where non-combatants are. The Congo-Rwanda tensions have continued. In Washington, Rwanda and Congo agreed to de-escalate. In Washington, Rwanda agreed to the de-escalation steps that was mediated by the government of the United States. History urges caution. Eastern Congo agreements often coexist with ongoing violence. This is not yet a resolution. It is yet another attempt to manage a deeply entrenched conflict system. And to the growing fuel crisis in Africa as a result of the spillover of the war in Iran. The Iran war is already affecting Africa in ways that people may not have imagined. Fuel shortages and power rationing are emerging across multiple countries. This is the new reality. Conflict travels through markets, not just through weapons. And to the global war without boundaries. The war involving Iran, Israel, and the United States intensified over the last 1 week. Casualty figures have crossed into the thousands. And of course, the war has affected the prices of oil across the whole world. It is in the system level shock that people are now having crises that they did not imagine will take place. European countries are now frightened because the Iranians have proved that they have enough power to reach European capitals. That means that the threats that the mullahs in Iran have been issuing to the West are not just empty threats. It is possible, and they have proved that they have the capacity to reach any European country that they want to reach. Perhaps as a result of that, several European countries are now agreeing to queue up behind the United States to remove the threats that the Iranians pose. This is where regional war becomes global crisis. Markets, insurance, and energy systems are now part of the battlefield. And in the Ukraine-Russia war, Russian strikes continue killing civilians and damaging power systems. Even as global attention shifts to Iran, the war between Ukraine and Russia has remained very active, adaptive, and destructive. Of course, this week's lesson is not about any single incident. It is about connection. In Nigeria, violence is spreading across regions, and tactics of the bandits or the terrorists are changing. The influence of the jihadists in the Sahel are beginning to be felt in the Nigerian crisis more than it was ever imagined. In Africa, fragile systems are still under growing strain, and globally, war is no longer contained. It is shaping economies, infrastructure, and daily life. The pattern is convergence. Conflicts are no longer local. What happens anywhere happens to all people around the world. Globalization has become real in the battlefield. Any war anywhere, such as the war between Russia and Ukraine, affects every part of the world. For instance, the war in Ukraine has badly affected the availability of grains around the world. The consequences of war travel through energy, through higher prices of food, through migration, through technology, and through global systems. And that raises the real question, not when the next crisis will begin, but how far it will spread. This is your update from the other side. My name is Remande Shawulu. Please just take a few minutes to click on that subscribe button, and don't forget to join our channel to support the work that we do.